Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Your Mortgage Process. We got a really great show for you today. We're changing our venue up a little bit. We're doing it on location at Team Natale Realtors. I'd like to invite John Natale here today. Thanks for taking the time today, John.
Hello, Greg. Thank you so much for inviting us, and I know we're going to have some great content and good discussions today.
All right, sounds good. Well, let's get into it. So we want to go around the room a little bit and talk to different members of the team to get an idea as to, okay, how long have they been in the industry? How did they join the team? What their successes are, what they've learned, and kind of talk about that in a little bit of detail. So the first person that we wanted to talk to is Darlene. Hi, Darlene.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
So, Darlene, how long have you been on the team?
So I have been on the team for 14 years?
Wow.
14 years, yeah.
Original.
I was the original.
You were the original.
I was number one. I was the first member, yeah. I was the assistant. But I was a realtor prior to joining John's team.
Okay.
I mean, I was at Keller Williams before John. So I was here.
How long were you a realtor before joining the team?
A year. 1 year. Yep. And then John came to Keller Williams and we met up and I decided I was not going to, I actually was looking to kind of let go. I have other jobs. Yeah. So I was like, oh, real estate, it's a lot of work. I didn't have a mentor. I did everything Keller Williams told me to do. I went to all the classes. I was able to, achieve one listing on my own. Of course, it was overpriced. I had no idea what I was doing. I did get a buyer from the listing and ultimately sold them a house, but my overpriced listing, of course, just fizzled out.
Sure.
Yeah, at which time I met John.
Okay. Now, you are the original on the team.
I am.
So as you've seen this team grow so much over a
have.
period of time,
Yes.
And to John's credit, having known him for a long period of time, remember there wasn't really anyone on the team, and making an effort to expand the team because he wants to get back to everybody. What do you think is the biggest value for someone being on the team?
I think the biggest value is the mentoring and the information that he teaches you. Starting with Team Natale, I believe that you already have like a 6 to 9 month jump ahead of any realtor who's working on their own, right? Teaches you the language of sales. He teaches you the skill sets that you need to work with buyers, to work with sellers. We're very listing based. You have the opportunity to shadow him on a listing. And he's available 24/7. So I think that's a huge value. Most team leaders don't offer that.
Sure.
So I think that's probably the biggest benefit.
I'd like to go a little bit deeper on this, and maybe this is a you and John and me conversation as well. Like, what does that look like? So I come on the team day one, and I'm like, I don't know anything about real estate. What's the program look like? Like, what do I do day one when I come in?
So, first you would meet with John. We talk about what your goals are and try and set that up. And then I do an orientation with you, and I kind of go through everything that you're going to be doing or that you should be doing, how to start you up, setting up your calendar, going over scripts, letting you know that, every Monday we have a team meeting. They're only like 15 minutes to a half hour. You can come into the office and join the team meeting, or you could do it over Zoom. We let you know about the lunch and learns that we have every Wednesday, which really I'm just here for any Q&A that you need specifically. We give you all the information of how to get you started, talking to your sphere, setting you up in the beginning stages.
And then there's scripting, probably. I hate to use the word scripting,
Absolutely.
more dialogue practice, right?
Absolutely.
As to
Every
how do I even
Wednesday.
call my sphere a bit? My sphere, right?
Yeah, we actually do mock scripting.
That's great.
So you come in and we focus on something different every Wednesday.
So almost like a role play type
Exactly.
of thing. That's great.
So we might work, one Wednesday might just be role scripting with buyers. Another week will be with the sellers. Another will be like how to show how to go on an appointment, what that looks like for sale by owner, like when you actually do get the appointment, what happens after that.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So
The other thing, Greg,
yeah,
I just want to
please.
let you know, we don't hire just anybody.
Right.
We do have a criteria. We do have I do have a sharp eye for talent, and also that you're hungry and that you have some of the attributes that we aspire to, because we can't get bogged down with people who are going to suck the time out of us.
Sure.
And stuff like that. So
Motivation.
people who are motivated, they're eager to
that
learn.
we see the motivation.
Right.
That
Hungry,
we know that
eager,
they want.
Yeah, eager
ready
to
to
learn,
learn.
and then they go out and implement.
With Team Natale, we don't. We're not looking to hold you under the brand of
Right.
Team Natale. We want to show you. John wants to mentor you how to run your own business.
Yeah. and-
So we allow
yeah.
you to brand yourself. The listings go under your name. We have different business models that we implement and we share with you. And it's really what works for you best at that time. And as you grow, we want to help you branch off onto your own.
Yeah, and that was something I was going to bring up, because it's something that I've noticed over the years. We've had a lot of successful people that have come through your program or through your team, and when I see different people, there's never any animosity at all. Like, you're happy that they branched off and now they're building and growing their own
Well,
team.
it's a good reflection of him.
Yeah.
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 And that's what he's here for. He's here to to mentor you through it.
Sure.
Right? So this just goes to show you like the successful people, right, that we've had that come, and then when it's time for them to move on, they move on. If they want to stay with us, we're happy. We love the camaraderie, right? But it's got to work for both ends. It's got to work for us, and it's got to work for them.
And that's outstanding, and knowing right out of the gates that you have that opportunity, and you're never under the proverbial thumb ever. It's about growth and development. I want to ask a question about the language of real estate, because it's been mentioned a couple of times. What does that look like? The language of real estate.
So the language of sales.
Thank you.
right?
Language of sales.
Yeah, so the language of sales is basically knowing how to speak with a buyer and how to speak with a seller. And there's two different ways you go about that. And we role play it. And we basically try and give them the beginning of a script, right? So that will change depending on the seasonality of where we're at. So that's really what.
And this is where it's so critical when you start in this industry. And I know we use the DISC profile, and it's understanding where someone fits into that spectrum to be able to evaluate somebody, fit them into the spectrum so you know how to communicate with them.
Right, because what I am might not be what they are.
Exactly.
Right? So then I have to learn about the other different personalities that are out there and how to make my personality mesh with theirs. Right? So really listening to your seller, listening to your buyer is huge, which I was so proud of Danny.
Yeah, thank you so much, Darlene.
You're welcome.
I wanted to talk to Danny for a minute, because I know you've had a bunch of different conversations, 10 different conversations in the past week with customers. And, what does it look like? How do you engage people on the phone when it's a warm call or a cold call?
So when I'm following up as a warm call, I like to give the reason for the follow-up. So if we send them a CMA or a mailer, see if they got the mailer or the CMA, what they thought about it, how much they think their home is worth, and see if they want us to come out and meet with them again just for 5 to 10 minutes, go over how we would get the home sold for top dollar, get a tour of the property, see any upgrades they did in person, and get a feel for it. And then if it's a cold call, again, similar, just build a relationship with them. Know it's the first call of many, and just try to...
How do you disarm someone? Like, Danny, what do you want? Yeah,
Right.
this is Greg.
Right.
Like, how do you disarm them and get them to... The whole goal is to get them to talk.
Yeah.
Right? Because once they're talking, you can get into the dialogue. But how do you kind of get it moving in that right direction?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because most everyone just wants to hang up and not talk.
Right.
But I really just want to say, listen, we have a buyer for you potentially. Like, is there anything we can do for you? Make it, how can we add value? Because most people think you just want to sell their house. They don't want to talk to you. So get them to talk.
So I think also it's his tone and him listening to the person on the other end of the phone and reacting like it's your friend.
Right.
You're giving advice to your friend, right? So he's not coming from the pocket, he's coming from the heart.
And you know, you can tell that just in a few minutes of talking to you, Danny. Like you have a very calm demeanor to you. And you know, people will mirror that demeanor.
Right. And to add on what Darlene said, it's your energy on the phone is like everything.
Right.
Because I've started calls where I'm low and I don't want to be doing it, and then once I get a few good ones, I'm excited to talk to them. So they're almost like, why is this person, you know, happy to be talking to me? So they want to hear what you have to say. So
I think that that's a great point with the person being happy. If they're thinking on the other end, you know, I'm a firm believer. You know, I'm always smiling on the telephone, always. Oh yeah, it doesn't matter what the conversation with. I'm like, oh boy, I'm sorry to hear that. And then I'll get every once in a while, I'll get the, why are you so happy all the time?
Yeah.
And so, no, I talk to my wife, but that's another conversation.
People will respond to good energy, positive energy, you know, a lot of energy and stuff like that. And very often, that's what I do on even a listing appointment. Well, why should we pick you? I says, I am going to show your property with the most energy, the most enthusiasm, and that's going to come through right there. And many times that's how I end up getting hired. You know, that's how you have to know your special skills, what God gave you, right? Yes, it's always good, you know, what things that I don't like are things that are not my cup of tea. But the things that you're really strong on, you have to keep, you know, whipping that, and you have to keep promoting that all the time, because that's how that energy, good energy, will be attracted to you.
And that is such a great point. You know, I think as a society, sometimes we can get focused on our weaknesses, right? And I think this kind of goes back to when you're in school and you're young, and kind of the way education goes, where really focusing on your strengths, you're always going to get the most value out of that, right? Because what I say, it's like the 80-20 rule. You know, you want to focus on, you know, the percentage of what you do at a high level, because you're going to get the 80% of the results from that. And, you know, and understanding that as you come into it, and focus on the positive and how you're going to drive it. So, Danny, is there anything else that you want to add?
I would just say, just like connecting with people, I feel like is everything in the business and relationships. Like when we go on appointments, if they tell us something about the house that they did something themselves, we appreciate that, and we let them know that, because I feel like they want to be heard, and the things that matter most to them, whether it's family or, you know, fixing up a bathroom themselves, we acknowledge it and let them know that.
That's great, and it comes from a position of genuine. Genuine.
Yeah, because people, I feel like, can see if it's fake, and
There's a lot of fake people out there, and that genuine, and we all know it. We deal with it all the time. It's kind of having the genuine, do I really care? Am I really empathetic? You know, am I really listening? You know, to be able to really engage the conversation and understand where they're coming from. What's your goal this year, Danny?
So my goal this year is, like, number-wise, or just...
Personally, professionally?
I would say my goal is to be making calls in the office 5 days a week. Like 3 hours a day, time block out to make calls, be more structured with my goals, so writing down my goals in the morning and seeing where I'm going. And then also I'd like to do at least like 10 transactions this year, work my way up to like 5 million, obviously more, but that would be a safe number.
You know what I like so much about your goal? You'd never mention money. The goal was, I got to call 3 hours a day. I got to do it disciplined fashion. And when you approach it from that micro level, that's the goal I'm going after. The volume, the money, the everything else just falls into place. It's outstanding.
And it's like John said before, the second you look at your pockets, you shouldn't be in the industry, because people can see through that. And I've been there, and people don't want to do business with someone who just cares about what they're getting.
Yeah.
So it's really adding value to them, and it's a relationship, because you never know who they're going to know. He gets referrals now every day. There's someone calling him where he doesn't have to call them. So that's where I want to be. So I know if I want that, you have to close, and then they have to be happy that they used you and you're knowledgeable. Yeah.
That's great.
So we have a lot of mantras on our team. Greg,
Give me a couple key isms, Natale-isms.
It takes 10 years. It takes 10 years. It takes 10 years to be an overnight success. That's number one.
That's great.
Our number one is either you win or you learn. We learned that from John Maxwell. Either you win or you learn, right? Even we don't call them mistakes. Even for myself, you know, how could I have done that better? You know, because we're facing even the market is changing. You know, even everything is changing with the market. What's never going to change is that a buyer needs to fall in love with the property in order to buy it, and the seller really needs to move on finally, right? But how we're connecting with these people now, that's changing rapidly, right? Because a lot of teams at competing brokerages now are tied into what's called Zillow Flex.
Okay, what is that?
So Zillow Flex is Zillow now generates leads from their appointment button that they plaster on their website, and most consumers believe that they're actually they're contacting the listing agent, which is not true.
Okay.
It's actually that lead is being
Leading
sold.
you down that rabbit hole. Okay.
Well, it used to be sold. I think they're getting away from that and actually charging a 35% referral fee. Charging a 35% referral fee for that. Now, you pay the referral fee, then you have to pay your broker, you pay your team split, then the broker fee. Yeah.
I mean, what are you walking away with, John?
That lead is ending up with someone who's probably living at home with mommy and she's still cooking all the meals, because you can't survive on something like that, right? But what's really happening also, the consumer is actually getting disadvantaged, because what I call it's kind of like an Uber realtor, right? Here, Greg, get down to Tom's River. Greg, get down to Jackson, and you're here. You live in Homedale, or you're where you specialize in the 5 towns. They're sending you all over the place. We have had team members who left here, went to a competing brokerage and participated in that, and they were putting on 50,000 miles on their car because they were all over the state.
Right.
And meanwhile, all you're doing is just showing the property, and you're not providing any value to the buyer, because they want to know, where's the commuting, where's the shopping, how are the schools, what's going on. I say this all the time on the team, is that a great agent is really an information person, is an information agent, right? People that we meet from Staten Island, from New York, or from another part of the state, they want to know. They don't want to just, oh yeah, I see this house, how can I get it? Yeah, it's been kind of frenetic that way, but really the value of what you want to be is the source of information, so that you can say, yeah, Village School is down that way, and this is central part of the town. You're close to the train. The ferry's not far away. This is what creates the value of you and where people want to do business with you.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. You want to go deep, not wide, right? I love Uber Realtor. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's a nugget right there.
And that's what we've been. And that again, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to us, because those of us who are trained on this team and on our talent, people will know that we're big on creating value and being of value, because people will recognize that, and when our clients meet us, then even when they meet us in open house, hopefully they'll see, yeah, you know what, they're a little bit different than just they just want to send us some listings and then put their feet up there and wait for them. You have to create value, and then you start building your referral thing, so which goes into the takes 10 years to be an overnight success,
That's
stuff
great.
like that.
I wanted to just piggyback on one thing you said about reflecting, right? So even after all these years in the industry, and I do the same thing. If I have a conversation, the conversation didn't quite go the way I felt it could have went, I reflect, I think about it, right? And you figure out, okay, evaluate what I did today, evaluate what I did in that conversation, and how can I improve moving forward.
What can I have done better? Yeah, and stuff like that.
Right?
Yeah,
that's another big John Maxwell thing, reflect. If you don't understand what you did, how do you know what you're going to do? Right? And how to move it forward. That's great.
Yeah. The other thing I just want to finish off is that I know we're going to family reunion, and it was actually the theme from last year, and it's very, very big now, right, is your database. Right? You have to work your database. You've worked so hard, to meet so many people at open houses and everything else like that, and it's really, really important to have. And that's why here at Keller Williams we have the command system. They've added so many different things that actually work. I accidentally clicked a button that sent out 500 text messages. Thank God, but not by mistake. I clicked the button. Nothing's going to really happen.
You didn't put your name on it.
And meanwhile, it was an automated smart plan text that I really had not edited. So I didn't. What I mean by that, I didn't look at what they really were sending, because we have these automated things.
Sure.
But the first text all it said is this the name of the person? You're like, is this Greg?
Larry? Yeah.
Is this Greg? And you look down and you go like, is this Greg? And you go like, who is this? Right? Because it's a Twilio number, so it's not my personal number, right? But so my point is, you got to circle back and you have to be in touch with your database,
right?
Because again, to shake the tree of who is thinking about making a real estate decision, and so that your value is. Home preparation is very big. Our cold stack listing, Ariana came with me, right? We went through the house. We saw one area, one room that had to be painted and modified a little bit. And he was very, very thankful, and we got the property ready. Home preparation is everything. It might be a hot market, but again, home inspection items will stop a transaction, and then if you
great houses go fast,
and if you have to put it back on the market, yes, most likely it's going to be taken right away again. Mm-hmm. But there's also a chance that buyers all of a sudden go like, "What's wrong with that?"
Right.
Yeah, I'm actually going on an appointment later this afternoon where the guy's been on the market for 120 days. I go like, I can't even believe it's still sitting there.
Right.
He goes, I can't either, but the buyers, I know the buyers are saying that. What's wrong with that house? You know.
Right. Makes sense. You know, and I know time blocking and time management is different for everyone. What do you think? I'm going to default this one to John for a second. John, what do you think the perfect day looks like for a real estate agent that's been in the industry for a year?
Great question, and it's part of our mantra. Again, on the team, we have a series of probably 15 or 20 mantras we actually send out on our weekly email, and one of them is when your head hits the pillow the night before, you need to know what your day looks like. The day before, the night before. Plan your meals, plan your meetings, plan exactly what you hope to be doing. Again, when, and we will be having some luxury listings very shortly, then, we might have a plan, but then it gets circumvented because we'll get a request to go show one of our own properties or anything else like that. But the answer to your question is know the night before. When your head hits the pillow, you need to know, what am I doing? When am I exercising? What am I eating? When am I eating? And when am I going to lead generate? And then, of course, you have to have open time because you might actually be meeting someone.
So if I could just...
Yes.
Yeah.
So in the orientation that we go over with them, we talk about that. And we talk about keeping a calendar, and every Sunday you should just look at the week ahead. And, being a realtor is very entrepreneurial. So a lot of people really don't know what they're getting themselves into, right? If you've ever...
It inherently doesn't have structure until you create structure.
Exactly. If you work for a company, you go in knowing, like, okay, I have to be there from 9 o'clock in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon. When you come into the business of real estate, you have to make that structure for yourself. So we talk a lot about that. And it's probably one of the most difficult things, I think, for any of us to wrap our heads around, right? So that's why John always says, really important, every Sunday, I always say to John, so what does the week look like? And he already has it. He has the roadmap, right? His A time, his B time, his C time, so... And he always starts with his personal time. So we try to teach them that they have to take care of themselves in order to take care of your clients and the people around you, right?
Yeah, no, and that's great advice. And just from my experience being in sales for such a long period of time, if you were to, my schedule probably is a reflection of yours, John. Candidly, like I know when I'm working out, I know what I'm eating that day, I know when I'm sleeping. Like it really is that regimented. To get the most out of yourself. Is the point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the keys. And I know it's a challenge because the thing is just that, when you're young, it's, we just, we'll get up and let's this thing, what's going to happen. But really, it's the people who are really succeeding, have a purpose, they know, listen, it's a very, very hard business, but your job is to make it easier. And as if you are prepared and you are doing all the little things, it becomes easy.
Right.
All of a sudden, you are meeting people. You're getting on the phone with people. You're making connections. You're making appointments. You're getting in the batter's box. And then your talent has to take over.
Sure.
Which is the reason why, again, we have very, very talented people that we that we accept on the team.
Sure. Would you mind passing the mic to Kristen? Because I'm going to put her on the spot, too.
Absolutely. No problem.
So you seem very comfortable with it, Kristen.
Oh, okay.
Are you going to sing for us?
No, that you don't want.
So how long have you been on the team for?
It's only been
About a month.
yeah, maybe I was going to say 2 weeks, so probably a month.
And now how long have you been licensed in real estate?
So a little over a year. I think it's been like almost a year and a half actually. I had a couple false starts at different places, but definitely feel 100% at home here.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you've been here for such a short period of time. Like, give me your blink after a few weeks. Like, what's so different about what's going on?
The way that John and Darlene care and invest in the team is amazing. I feel like there's not many people in this world that would do that, let alone in real estate, but they're in your corner. They want you to succeed, and they give you the tools, and they show you how to use them, and that's so important.
And what have you learned so far?
I've learned a lot.
Oh, we're ready. We
Learned
got
a
time.
lot already.
You have the mic.
I've learned a lot, but I think I didn't really anticipate real estate to be so hard, or as much as it really is when I started. I had a little bit of background, buying and flipping homes in the past. So
Personally, right?
yes. So I was no stranger to a closing table. However, I didn't realize everything that went into it, and especially in this market, as tough as it is. And John and Darlene have both, just given me tools that I would not have gotten anywhere else, so
That's
investing the
amazing,
time.
yeah. Now, have you found, give me one thing, well, we're into it for a few weeks. Give me one thing that you pulled out of it the most. What's the most impactful thing that you've seen?
I'm terrible with time management. Terrible. So
It's a reoccurring theme.
terrible. I'm a mother and a 5. But yeah, so I have a zillion things going on. I was telling Darlene earlier, I could walk from here to there and fall off task so easy just because I find 5 other things to do. But so the time management, the structure, starting the day before, planning the week out on Sundays. I'm not quite at meal prep and plan yet, but I'll get there.
We got time. We got till the end of the week.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but but yeah. It's just, everything. I love.
How to fit being a great mom,
Right.
a great wife, and planning the meals, and your real estate business.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons why I've always admired Darlene. She's a full-time JetBlue flight attendant and a great real estate agent also, and stuff like that, and had time to be like the team mom or the coach, scripts coach, and everything else that whatever the team leader needs her to do, she's always fills in.
She came to us and said, I'm having issues with the time management, right? So we threw out to her, we can help you be accountable. You just have to share with us your calendar, so this way we can say, okay, if on her calendar she had, in the morning I'm going to make calls from 10 to 3, I'll shoot her an email at like 8 o'clock at night just saying, hey, how'd everything go? Right? So it's just like that little reminder. It's not to yell at her or to tell her, oh, you didn't do that, you got to do this. No, we're just...
It's kind accountability.
Yeah, it's just kind accountability. Exactly.
Can we make that an ism, please?
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Can I get on the list?
I like that.
Right, exactly. Just to keep her time on task, right? So I think that's really important. Yeah, and it's the most challenging. It really is. I think for everyone. Yeah. Until you get to John's level.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I'm listening to Kristen, the one thing that jumps out immediately is the energy level that you have.
Oh.
You know that. You have a high energy level. But what happens when you have a high energy level and you have an aptitude for sales is, man, we see shiny objects all over the place, right? And once you can reel that in with a disciplined schedule, great things happen when you channeled that energy the right way.
I'm looking forward to it, definitely, but I do, and I overload myself. I always do. I have a hard time saying no to my children and clients, and I try to take on as much as I can because I don't want to disappoint anybody. I really do want to help people. So I'm learning.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing, Chris. We really appreciate it.
I think the number one thing that makes me and that makes the team so successful is that I'm out there on the ground level. So it's like I'm out there with the buyers. I know the frustration. I'm out there listening to sellers. Yes, I'm mostly a listing broker, but I'm also out there in the field. And I think that so many people that are doing podcasts, there is a structure, a lot of competing brokerages. They have these teams that are just on the Zillow Flex, and they're just basically like a dealer at that AC thing. They're not out there with the buyers and sellers. Their just role is just to collect, pieces of hand out the leads and they implement some things. But I know myself, Jeff Glover, some other people that I know that I follow. They're out there. The people that really provide good content and good advice and good mentorship are the people that are out there in the field.
That's such a great point. Having a field general that's out there, understanding the problems and not pretending that they don't exist, right? Because you see a lot of that. Well, let's just blow sunshine all the time. It's not about that. It's about understanding the market that you're in, understand the challenges in the market, understanding the opportunities in the market, and then being able to approach things from a very clean, upbeat paradigm when you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, the market is changing every couple of weeks. For example, in November, there was a little bit of inventory on the market.
Right.
You actually had an opportunity to negotiate. You actually had a short window of where properties were, whatever was on the market was sitting on the market.
Right.
So then we had shift. Now we're shifting it again. This way. But Gary Keller was great on the shift. Yeah, those shifts were coming every 2 to 5 years. Now they're coming every 2 to 5 weeks.
So true.
Which is true, but it doesn't make it impossible. It makes it, again, embrace what we have. Right. You're dealt, these are the cards we're dealt with. That's what we have to do. That's what we have to do. So again, to be listing based, we have to work even harder, dig down even more, get down on the ground level, and put that knife in the, and then start crawling. To find all those sellers.
Guerrilla warfare, guerrilla marketing right now.
That's
so
right.
Listen, I wanted to thank all of you for taking the time today. It's been great. And I think it's been really educational for everyone out there. John, I want to thank you for having us today.
Greg. Thank you
it's
so
always
much.
a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure.
And I want to thank everybody out there. Thank you for listening to Your Mortgage Process. Of course, I'm your host, Greg Wareham. We have Team Natale here today. We look forward to catching up with you next week. Thanks, guys. Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Your Mortgage Process, hosted by Greg Wareham, produced by Greg Wareham and Nick Pavis at The Social Rift, and executively produced by The Social Rift. Thank you again for tuning in, and we look forward to catching up with you next week.